We're back.
We're back.
And today we talk about law number 12
Law number 12.
from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, which is use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. One sincere and honest move will cover over dozens of dishonest ones. Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity bring down the guard of even the most suspicious people. Once your selective honesty opens up a hole in their armor, you can deceive and manipulate them at will. A timely gift, a Trojan horse, will serve the same purpose. So Law 12 is use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. And I have a little bit of conflicting thoughts with this one. But the first thing that I would say that comes to mind is a quote that I actually just said to you earlier today, which I try to live by, which is when somebody is giving too much accolades to me or saying too many nice things or nice gestures to me, I get suspicious. And in Spanish, there's a very famous Spanish singer and poet, right? Facundo Cabral.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say it in Spanish. But the saying that I try to live by is, one of them is, el hombre acaricia al caballo para montarlo, which means that the man pets
the horse,
the horse to tries to touches the horse and pets the horse to be able to ride the horse. So when someone is petting you and saying nice gestures, get ready, you're about to get ridden. And
Facundo Cabral was a genius. I mean, he was just a man that did a lot of introspection, and is just an amazing human being.
Oops, sorry about that. But I see that, like, when someone is saying, it doesn't have to be a Trojan horse, it doesn't have to be a gift. It could be something that you say, or he's saying a gesture to bring somebody's guard down. And I try to live by this to protect myself from people who are using this against me as the victim. I try not to use this and have victims and use this on people personally. But that's just my take. What do you think about it?
Well, you mentioned the other day in a casual conversation with someone, I can't remember right now who you were saying that to, but you said, look, at the end of the day, we're all salespeople. Your surgeon is a salesman. You're a salesman. You're trying to sell something to your wife. If she doesn't like going here, you want to bring up the best of it because you want to go there, or you were saying that, so ultimately, we're all trying to navigate this life and get what we want, let's say, out of it. So we're always coming up with ideas and trying to sell a thought or something to somebody else, right? Yeah. So is that manipulation? I mean, is that something that we all do to a certain extent?
Yeah, I think that, yes. And he says selective honesty.
Right.
So he's saying you're not lying or being deceitful in that sense, but you are at the end of the day. Because selective honesty is essentially, if you're omitting some of the truth, you're lying, right?
Yes. This is a very complex law.
Yeah.
But leave it up to Robert Greene to come up with things that are not easy and speculative to understand. But look, I'm looking at this law from the other side of the track because I have been a victim to this type of a law in business. And in a short format, what happened was this gentleman was in investments in real estate, offered this very good opportunity, and we went for that opportunity. And so what happened was the return was good for that small amount of investment. but then it took us to a higher investment, and then that went south very quickly. So,
So he kind of got you in with a good return on the first deal.
which was a small investment, and then on the second one, which was a higher investment, uh, it went bad.
And you think that was done intentionally?
Looking back, I do believe so, because uh, when later on other things came out where this gentleman proved to be not truthful, and it was somewhat like a house of cards, and things started collapsing, and it was just too late for us. We were in the midst of several other folks that had been taken, and I think selective honesty played a role there, so that he could manipulate people like myself. And this is many, many, many years ago, and I was starting in our business ventures and so forth, and so, but it shapes you, informs you, because you become calloused. You have to be careful. There's one part in this law number 12 that says it opens a hole in the armor, okay, even of the most suspecting people.
Right.
And I always thought I was very careful, and I realized in that sense I wasn't. And even to this day, you know, it's a good it's a good thing to go over this law to refresh, because I'm dealing with people currently that I've dealt with for many years, and I actually have a great deal of trust with these folks. And you start losing your reference of that armor, that protection, because we've done business so long, okay? And you know this people's character, and you know they're good people. Maybe you're looking at a contract and you're not reading every word, you're not reading every sentence, because you've done business with these people before. And I find myself trusting and maybe signing here or there. I'm very careful. I have a good check and balance system, which is my wife. Okay?
Yeah.
She reads everything. And I find myself, okay, what do I sign? Because of the years and the trust and so forth. And there's something good to be said about that, but it definitely potentially could weaken you, because if something happens to one of these folks, something terrible, something unbeknownst or whatever, and then there's a shift,
Yeah.
you know, you can't let your guard down at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a way to get to those folks that have that guard up, you know, and minimize their defense.
Yeah.
It's
Who's to
tough.
say that somebody is not employing these tactics over a span of years
For the big hit.
for the big hit?
Yeah.
My good friend, our friend Chris, and my mentor, he always quoted Ronald Reagan that said, "Trust and verify."
Yep.
Because it's okay to have trust in people, but part of the way to maintain that trust and keep that person accountable is verify. Make sure that what they're doing is still correct and good for you. And yeah, with this law, I have a lot of it's conflicting thoughts for me. It challenges me, because it's definitely about manipulating people
Of course.
and persuading people,
Yes.
and
Persuading.
even giving a gift to somebody with the intention of, hey, down the road I'm going to be able to manipulate this person because of that gift. Or, you know, thinking 10 steps ahead, like a game of chess, like that, instead of just giving a gift because it's a genuine thing that you feel. And that's interesting. But we talk about it in the previous ones. Robert Greene is talking about power moves.
Power moves.
He's talking about how do you gain power, maintain power. That's where these laws come into play. And Definitely, you need to protect yourself from people who are out here looking to use this law to gain power. And how do you protect yourself from somebody who's
You got to keep
making
your
these
guard
judgments?
up at all times.
You have to keep your guard up. You have
So,
to.
see, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. It's already looking at you as a victim.
Right.
This is a predator. Okay? It's no different than a wildcat or a mountain lion searching for
Food.
their lunch. It's no different. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. So they're setting you up for the kill.
Right.
And there are people out there, especially in the corporate structure, but everywhere. And so the only way that you can protect yourself with this, to this, is having awareness that there are people out there like this, treating each and every single occurrence on its own merit.
Right.
I think that's one of the things that I need to engrave in my DNA, because I am not like that. I need to be more like that. So if you treat each and every single occurrence based on its own merits,
Not
Forget
taking
it.
into account the relationship that you have and all those things, which there's value to it.
because that's what I live by. I want to build relationships with people because I believe that building relationships opens tons and tons of doors. So
Yeah.
this is a law that is extremely important, that I should be more aware of, and I should keep it in mind more,
All of us.
because I can see how I could easily fall. And I have fall. I've been a victim of this, where in this case, the second time around, I got taken for quite a few bucks. Okay? And nobody knew it, so I was part of a group of people that got swindled. Okay? But when
Yeah.
you're in that group, you don't feel any better.
No.
You don't feel any better. I mean, everybody has been hurt. Okay? So, I'm not the only one. Well, you don't find any solace in that, because
Yeah.
you were,
I can't think of any situation personally that it happened to me.
oh,
I'm not able to think of one at the moment, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen and I wasn't a victim of it. I just maybe didn't realize that it occurred. That I was being manipulated and persuaded. They were so good at it, let's say.
oh, well, then you're dealing with a master. But in this particular case, I never forgot it.
Well, because you felt the
Oh.
sting of you actually
Well,
lost money.
it's hard to make money, and I lost a good chunk of money, and so I was swindled, and I should keep that more forefront in my everyday dealings, because it would make me.
Yeah.
You gotta keep a balance in life, because if you're just thinking about that kind of stuff, then you can become paralyzed and not pull the trigger on a good deal that may come down the pike.
Yeah, it's just taking account that there are people that are thinking
Yes.
this way. And when he talks about the Trojan horse, it's that famous story that it was a gift, right? That
Yes.
was sent, and it got into the walls that were protected, but within that massive horse was an army of,
Right.
of men, right?
Correct.
And now they were able to get inside the walls, but it was a gift at the time.
Right.
I'm also thinking of like the biblical story of Samson and Delilah,
Okay.
where she manipulated him, at least is the way that I remember the story, to get his secret, because everybody wanted to know what Samson's secret was for his strength.
Right. Well, he fell in love with her,
Right.
and
Was seduced, and
then in a moment
he-
of weakness, he told her.
he told her the secret.
Right.
And the story is that God had told him, here,
Don't share this with anybody.
right.
This is
But he did.
but
And
he
she
did.
got it under his armor. She found the hole,
right.
which ended up manipulating him, and then
Right.
there goes the story.
But you
right?
see,
It went downhill from there for Samson.
correct. So, but let me ask you, what is the difference between manipulation and persuasion.
Right.
Can you tell me? Because manipulation has a negative connotation,
It does.
but persuasion doesn't.
I can look up the actual definition.
It's the same thing.
You think so?
I think so.
Because I was gonna say, for me, manipulation, there's a like bad intent,
Correct.
and persuasion doesn't necessarily have to be that you lead someone to something bad.
So it's your
Sales-
intentions.
Correct.
Because you
Your
always tell
intentions.
me, I know you're big on intentions, Dad, right?
Your intentions are important. You always say that.
Yeah.
They're not everything though, because you can still have good intentions and run somebody over. I didn't mean to do that, but I think manipulation, you're intentionally leading somebody down a bad path.
Uh-huh.
That's the way I interpret it. And then persuasion doesn't have to be down a bad path. Sales is persuasion.
Well, some people would say sales is manipulation.
It can be manipulation, right? You can
So-
sell somebody something with using manipulation potentially.
Okay, so if a salesman manipulates a client to buy this,
Right.
what is the difference between that salesman and the other salesman that persuades a client to buy this product? What is the difference?
Well, you're asking my opinion,
I'll
right?
get your opinion, then I'll give you mine.
Okay.
Okay? So
Well-
this is manipulation here, persuasion here.
Well, I think that a good, ethical, honest salesman or saleswoman will sell somebody something that there's actually a need for. And they may need to, with a certain communication skills, show that client that this is what they need. And that could be persuasion, their ability to communicate effectively. But if you're manipulating somebody and selling them something that they don't actually need, that's what I see as manipulation. So you could have excellent communication skills, but you're selling them something that they don't need. From my perspective, it's short-lived. You're not going to be you could be a good salesman, but you're not going to get a lot of business from that, in my opinion, because it's short-lived. They knew that at the end of the day, you took them. But here, you've helped communicate effectively that there's actually a need for them, and you helped show them that that was that need. That's my perspective. I may be wrong.
No, actually, you're very close to what I think. Very close to what I think.
What do you think?
Oh, exactly, pretty much what you said, except that I would add that manipulation is leading someone in a direction where the salesman or the person that's doing the manipulation gains the most benefit, okay, to take that client or that person down that road. They're manipulated into that road because the person in doing the manipulation stands to gain the most. And someone with moral compass and ethics will, try to persuade someone into a situation where they benefit the most. So the client in persuasion, I would think exactly like you, benefits the most, where the client in manipulation does not benefit the most is the salesperson or whatever.
Got it.
That, and unfortunately, it happens in every field.
Sure.
There was, I'll share this with you, and, before I got into the business world, I was preview to the medical field. And, there were in some cases, and this is not the case, thank God for everything, but there were people that were, had a bad reputation. There was one gentleman in particular that, on the floor, we used to call him Mr. Pacemaker, because he would put a pacemaker into just about every patient he saw. And
He's a doctor.
correct. And unfortunately, I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody, okay? because
It
anytime you
exists.
point a finger at someone, you got three fingers pointing back.
It's
But
in
in
all
this
worlds, all
particular case, I
industries.
lived it, and this was a doctor that would put a pacemaker almost into every patient he saw. And on the floor, we would say, "Oh yeah, he's." We didn't call him Doctor So and So. We called him Mister Pacemaker,
It's
because
horrible.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And
so
because he was able to charge for the pacemaker, let's say.
yeah, because it's you have to put it,
Procedure.
subcutaneous. So it's a procedure that he could charge for, as opposed to maybe treat it with medication or even diet. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't have the technical
you saw
know-how or
that.
anything.
You
But
saw that happen.
well, we saw a trend.
Right.
We saw a trend on the floor. And it became part of the conversation. Well, he's another pacemaker and another pacemaker and
That's
another
horrible.
one. So it happens in, I think, every field. That's why we need to be careful and get
Yeah,
second opinions, third opinions, and that goes beyond saying in everything.
That's
You
why
get a
we
contractor,
That's why we're going over these laws, is
Yeah.
because,
so that
well, number one,
benefit for the for the audience and anyone that
yeah,
listens.
well, number one, it's made us sharpen a lot, I think, me personally, on the laws, because by reviewing them, we think out of situations that have happened to us personally, that
Yeah.
we've been in the business world a long time. And then secondly, we help the viewers maybe with some of our situations, and maybe it's happened to them, I'm sure. When he talks about a generous gift, you think of like the saying, "There's no such thing as a free coffee," right? Everything that comes at a cost, whether it's now or later. It comes with something. And there's psychology behind it. I've heard in marketing and sales, and Gary Vee and all these guys that talk about programs that they sell online and all this, that they say, if you give your product to the consumer for free, let's say the first product, then that consumer is now more inclined, like they owe you something, because you gave them something for free. So let's say that you wrote a book. If you give that book out for free, online or whatever it is, to all of your viewers, there's a psychology behind it, because they received something and it was of value. Of course, it has to be of value. But now they are more inclined, more likely to subscribe to you, buy your next product, buy your course, or whatever the case. That's part of the psychology of marketing and these funnels that they do. So it's using a gift, obviously, with an intention of something future down the road benefit for yourself.
Yeah. Well, there's many ways to look at it, because if you provide value for someone, and let's say with Gary Vee or anybody else, I particularly like Rogan a lot, Now, so Joe Rogan now is, I'm not going to say pushing, but he's talking about this alpha brain thing, okay?
Right.
He uses it.
I think he's got a piece of that company.
I think he does. But I think he's being genuine in the sense that he says, I've used it, and I feel great about this and that and whatever. And so I would probably think that the sales of that product have gone up quite a bit, because he's an influential figure, and he's talking about its benefits. Okay.
Yeah.
When you give someone a gift, they'll be more inclined to feel that they owe you something,
Right.
especially if you brought value to their lives. And so
Correct.
they'll be inclined to, just out of loyalty, say, I'm going to spend a few bucks on this guy because I benefited from it.
Correct.
So yeah, I do see that.
It's just the intentions. What I'm saying is they're giving the gift with the intention of getting something down the road.
Right.
I'm not saying that's good or bad.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, if you're giving value, you should be compensated, one would think.
Right. Well, it's like everything in this world. I mean, everybody is trying to make a better life for themselves and their family. Okay.
Most people, yeah.
And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll spend money, If I see that
Sure.
it's benefited and if it brought value to myself, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I
Why
agree.
not? Because the world, you need to. The world goes around. The money is what spins it to a certain extent. Although money may not be the primordial or the most important issue,
Yeah.
it's definitely something that needs to be considered. You know,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
But this law
So
is very
yeah, selective honesty. So I think I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add to it. Um, and for those listening, if they want to check out our previous laws, we've done all the way up to 12 now, right? This would be the 12th. They can check them out. But selective honesty, for me, again, I look at this more as how can I protect myself from being a victim of this law.
yeah. Well, I've been a victim of this law. You know, the word I was looking for, and I got onto Joe Rogan, and this got nothing to do with him, but I was involved a little bit, maybe in a Ponzi scheme kind of thing,
Mm,
where it was a group of people that fell prey to this gentleman's
investment.
right, and so we were a little group of people that got hurt by him.
Mm,
And so you just need to be careful. I think that, like we stated, if you look at every transaction on its own merit, okay, I think that's a good gauge to try to stay away from being a victim in some of these things. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are predatory,
yes. Yeah.
and
And they're using this law 12 and they're gaining power doing it.
and they're using all the other 47 laws too.
Yeah.
Okay, because these are 48 laws of power, and these are power plays. So that's what we have to keep in mind. I mean, I think that most people, for the most part, are good natured. Okay, so when you hear about something like this being published in a book, if this is the first time you come to the 48 laws of power, um, you got to realize that it may be conniving, Machiavellian, everything that you want, but this actually goes on. And according to Robert Greene, this happens a lot in the movie industry, in Hollywood, in the corporate level. Robert Greene is a consultant to many Fortune 500 companies, and I've listened to him a lot. And he comes up with, he says that you can have a CEO that's running a company and doing very well, and then he decides to expand and try to go for a partnership, and then ends up hiring the worst partner that he could possibly get a hold of on the face of the planet. And that partner brings detriment to the company. So, no matter where you are in life, gauge each transaction on its own accord, on its own standing. And I think that's probably the best way that you could navigate through this and not become a victim, because there are people out there that are predators, and like you said, they may be working this up for a number of years
Mm.
to get to the big hit.
Yeah. The fear is that you become, like you said, paranoid or just distrusting of everything and everyone. And this person is, and they say that this is what I've heard, that when you become very, very wealthy, you begin to become a little more recluse because you think that everybody's trying to get something from you, whether it's money or something, right? Access to the life that you have, let's say. And so you become a little bit more distant from people because you think everybody is out to get something from you, which that's not good either.
No, because
Because you're
what kind of a
disconnected.
life are you? At the end of the day,
Yeah. So it's being aware of it, but figuring out what that balance is. And like you said, your wife is the checks and balance that you have, and you're lucky. And if you can find somebody in your life that helps balance you out, if you're a very trusting person, you need somebody like that.
Yeah, you just made me think of a song from Julio Iglesias, that he says, it's better to love than never to have felt love. But with loving comes, pain. Because when you love someone, there's pain involved in that, whether that person
Heartbreak.
suffers and heartbreaks. And so, but Julio Iglesias says in his song, it's better to have loved than to have never loved. Es mejor amar que nunca haber amado. You gotta live life.
I would agree.
You gotta live life.
Yeah.
This is the only one we have.
Yeah,
Let's
you
make
can't
the
be
best of it.
Fearful of everything.
Yeah, you can't live in fear.
Yeah.
You can have that protection. I tell you, the other day we negotiated a lease on one of the properties, and I went to my good buddy's office, and he had the list of contracts. And we've been doing business so long, I said, where do I sign? And you remember I signed a bunch
Without reading.
without reading it.
Your wife, if she hears this, she won't be happy about
She
that.
won't be happy.
That's
His
funny.
comment, do you remember his comment?
That he had sent everything to you already. You could read it all, something like that.
But what was the comment that he said that way the viewers can see we're definitely genuine in everything that we try to do?
You're signing the leases, right? He had helped you put it all together as the manager of the property, and then I think you said something along the lines as it's because I trust you.
No,
right?
I said that in response to his comment.
Oh, he said you're signing your life away.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. He says, hey, you don't realize it, but you're actually signing your life away. And it's because I kid you not, there were like 16 pieces
Yeah.
of paper, or maybe 18 actually.
Yeah.
I think it's 18. And I said, well,
Lined out.
Right? And he
then you
said,
said that.
you're signing your life away.
Right.
And in response, I said, listen, if at this point in our relationship, you were to pull a fast one on me, it would, I would lose faith in humanity.
Right. That's what you said.
I would lose faith in humanity and have to restart again. Yeah, you'll take me, but
That's the amount of trust you have in that person.
that is the amount of trust that I have in that person.
Right.
I think that's beautiful and dangerous, all
Correct.
wrapped up in one.
You got to start using these laws more.
Well, but does that happen in your personal life, in your
Sure.
love life?
Absolutely.
Are
yeah.
you betrayed by someone that we just saw a movie last night where the lady goes out on a vacation to Europe, and the husband stays back, and she actually has an affair. It's just a movie. But do you trust someone in your love life to the point that you can't perceive that person would hurt you, and then it ends up hurting you, etc., or vice versa?
Right.
So it happens
That's
in
true.
every.
Because this may not just be in a business setting. It could
No.
also be in a
Relationship.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
dangerous. A partnership.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
so the moral
it's
of the
tough.
story.
This law is very difficult.
The moral of the story. How do we deal with this? I think, and I don't know all the answers. I know very few answers. Okay. I think that the best way to go about this, and I'm going to try to implement that in my own life, is that you weight each transaction
Yeah. Yeah.
on its own merit.
Makes sense.
You know that you have a great relationship with this person. You've been with this person for a very long time. History has taught you that it's an honest man or an honest woman. However,
Well, now you're talking about taking emotion away from the actual situation, which is very difficult to do
yeah,
because we are emotional beings.
what do? Try do the
Go.
best you can with what you've got.
Wrap it up there.
All right.
Thank you.